Okay, think about a massive bridge or a huge pipeline. What's the last thing that comes to mind? Yeah, probably the paint, right? But here's the thing. That thin protective coating, it's often the only thing standing between that whole structure and a total catastrophic failure. So, who's the person responsible for making sure it's done right? That's the coating inspector. And trust me, their job is way, way more important than just watching paint dry. You could almost call them the guardians of our infrastructure's safety. You know, there's this thing in the industry. You get what you inspect, not what you expect. And that's not just some clever line. In the world of industrial coatings, it's a fundamental truth. I mean, when public safety is literally on the line, just expecting things to be right, that's not going to cut it. The inspector's job is to completely replace hope with hard, cold proof. They're the ones who take us from expectation to absolute verification. And the stakes here, they are incredibly high. Seriously, without a qualified inspector on the job, one tiny little mistake in the coding process can just snowball into premature failure and rust, corrosion, you name it. And what does that mean? Well, it means crazy expensive repairs, maintenance costs that go through the roof, and, in the absolute worst-case scenario, a structure that's just not safe anymore. So that really brings us to the big question, right? What does it take to be this person, the inspector? It's not just about watching. We're going to see how they go from being a simple observer to becoming this really proactive force that actually drives the project's success. Okay, let's look at the official definition for a second. It calls them a quality technician. Now, that's the key phrase right there. Think about that. This tells you they're not just some supervisor looking over someone's shoulder. Nope. An inspector is a technical expert. Their whole job is to measure the work against the project's specification, which, by the way, is a legally enforceable document to guarantee that every single requirement is met. No exceptions. All right, Section 1, the plan before the paint. And here's something that might surprise you. An inspector's most critical work? It often happens before a single can of paint is even opened. It's true. This whole first phase is all about prep, planning, and basically stamping out problems before they even have a chance to start. So this right here, this is what we can call the inspector's playbook. It's basically the roadmap for their entire process, from start to finish. And we're going to use this as our guide. You can see it's broken down into 4 key stages: plan, assess and test, verify, and document. So naturally, we're starting with that first column on the left, plan. This is the foundation. Everything else is built on this. Now, before any actual work starts, the inspector pretty much becomes a detective. Seriously, they have to gather and analyze all these key documents: the spec review, the pre-job meeting minutes, the technical facts, scope of work, safety notes, their own checklist. This isn't just busy work or shuffling paper. It's about building a complete case file for the project. And that file is what's going to guide every single decision they make from here on out. And it all kicks off right here with the project specification. The inspector just pores over this thing, scrutinizing every line. They're on the hunt for anything that's unclear or contradictory, or just looks like it could cause a headache down the road. Because, let's be honest, finding a problem on a piece of paper, that's 1,000 times better than finding it once it's already on the steel. The inspector also acts as this crucial communication hub. Think of them as a bridge between all the different parties. So they go to that pre-job meeting, and they bring up all those little issues they found during the spec review. It's their job to make sure the contractor, the engineer, the asset owner, everyone is on the exact same page before a single tool is picked up. And to make sure absolutely nothing gets missed, inspectors rely on detailed, systematic checklists. Now, this isn't about mindlessly ticking boxes, not at all. You have to think of it as a disciplined, professional tool that guarantees every single requirement, everything, from the surface prep to the final coating thickness, gets checked and verified. And of course, safety first. Always. The inspector is 100% responsible for their own well-being on what is a very active and sometimes dangerous job site. That means they can't just stand back. They have to be an active participant in every safety briefing. They need to know the restricted areas, the right PPE, the chemical hazards, and all the emergency procedures, inside and out. All right, Section 2, inspecting the application. So we're moving from all that planning into pure action. The groundwork has been laid, and now the inspector is on site monitoring the work as it happens. This is the real hands-on phase, where all their expertise gets put to the test in real time. So let's pull our playbook back out. We're now moving into that second column, assess and/or test. This is where the inspector starts using everything they've got, their instruments, their technical knowledge, and of course their own eyes, to verify the quality of the work. And even with all the high-tech gear they carry around, an inspector's most effective tools are still their own two eyes. Seriously, they are just constantly observing, watching the surface prep, the mixing of the coatings, the application itself, all to catch any deviations the second they happen. So what are they actually looking for? Well, pretty much everything. Are the coatings being mixed at the exact right ratio? Are they putting on those critical stripe coats to protect the welds and edges? Are there any defects showing up in the wet film? Are they sticking to those super strict time windows for recoating? On a job like this, you better believe every single one of those details matters. Okay, Section 3, making the final call. So just observing is one thing, but an inspector also has real authority. This next phase is all about using that authority to verify everything conforms to the spec and then creating the official project record. This is where the inspector really makes the final call. And this brings us right to the end of our playbook. The final two stages, verify and document. So after all that assessing and testing is done, the inspector makes the official call. Does the work meet the spec? Yes or no? Then they create the super detailed and, yes, legally significant record of everything that went down. Now this brings us to a really powerful concept in the inspection world, the hold point. Think about this. This is a critical power that the inspector holds. It's a mandatory stop in the process. All work grinds to a halt until the inspector can come in, perform their tests, and give the official green light to continue. It's the ultimate tool to make absolutely sure that mistakes are never, ever just covered up. And every single one of those observations, tests, and hold point verifications gets recorded in something called the Inspection and Test Plan, or ITP. This document is so much more than just a simple logbook. It becomes the final, official, legally significant record of the entire project. It's the objective proof that every single requirement was met. All right, Section 4, the inspector's character. So far, we've been talking a lot about what an inspector does. But this last piece of the puzzle is all about who an inspector is. Because look, the technical skills are absolutely vital, but without the right personal and professional traits to back them up, they're pretty much meaningless. So trait number 1, they have to be qualified. This is non-negotiable. It means holding the right certifications from the big industry bodies like AMPP, which is the Association for Materials Protection and Performance. But it's more than just a piece of paper. It really requires a lifelong commitment to learning, to stay on top of all the new standards, new tech, and new materials. And beyond just being qualified, trait number 2, they must be professional. And what that means is acting with this unwavering integrity, fairness, and total objectivity. How they act on a job site doesn't just reflect on them, it reflects on their employer and the entire industry. And let me tell you, in this pretty small community, your reputation is absolutely everything. And this whole commitment, it's actually formalized in their professional code of conduct. And this one line right here, it just says it all. I will give first consideration in my coding inspection work to safety and public welfare. See, an inspector's ultimate loyalty isn't to the contractor, it's not even to the project owner, it's to the public, the people who are going to use and rely on that structure every single day. Which brings us to one last big question to think about. When the safety of our bridges, our ships, our pipelines is on the line, who inspects the inspector? Well, the answer really lies in their own personal integrity, their strict adherence to that code of conduct we just saw, and a professional culture that demands and upholds these